she. Now, let's find stillness together. Just take a moment to settle right where you are. Feel the blanket, warm and gentle around your body. Feel your pillow, cradling your head like a soft cloud. Let your eyelids grow heavy, just a little heavier. Let your breath come slower, and slower still. Inhale softly through your nose, and exhale even softer, as if the world was sighing with you. You are safe here. You are still. Let the hush of night surround you. Like a lullaby of shadows and starlight, you may hear the faint crackle of a hearth nearby, the low rustle of curtains in a sleepy breeze, or the soft creak of a wooden floor in a quiet room. All is calm. All is gentle. And now, our story today begins. Our story sets sail on a cool, velvet night, in a time long ago, when cobbled streets gleamed silver under moonlight, and the stars, in a quiet land of slumbering villages and faraway castles, there lived a bard unlike any other. He did not sing in noisy taverns, nor perform in royal halls, tiptoeing through sleepy hamlets and shadowed forests, not to wake the world, but to listen to its dreaming. No, this bard traveled by twilight. He was known only in murmurs as Acilio, the young gatherer. His footsteps made no sound. When lamps were dimmed and shutters closed, his breath was slower than the wind, and in his hands he carried a little velvet pouch deep blue, stitched with thread made of moonbeam and silence. Collecting something so small and so tender, most never knew they had given it. Each night, Acilio wandered from village to village. A yawn, just a yawn. But in the hush of night, a yawn was a precious thing, peeking out from the body. You see, in the old medieval times, people believed that a yawn was more than a sign of sleepiness. They believed it was the soul stretching its limbs. And if a yawn went uncovered, if you didn't place your hand over your mouth and wander, the soul might drift away into the air. Was not there to steal souls. No, he was their shepherd. He moved gently, beneath low eaves and arched doorways, pausing near windows just slightly ajar, and when someone yawned, curled up in their bed, or nestled near a fire, he'd catch the tail end of it in his pouch. Not the soul itself, just a sigh, the whisper, the drowsy note of it, and then he'd whisper back, "Sleep safely, dream sweetly, and move on." The villagers never saw him, but often they'd wake in the morning with the strange sense that they'd slept more deeply, more sweetly than usual. And every few weeks, Acilio would find a quiet glade in the woods, or a dew-dappled field, and open his pouch, ever so slowly, releasing the yawns back into the air, and with his little harp and silences, carved from the branch of an ancient willow tree that had once stood watch over a monastery, he would pluck a tune made entirely of sighs, a lullaby composed from the dreams of dozens. Some say, when he played that music, even the owls fell asleep. Tonight, he walks again. Can you hear his soft footfalls on the cobblestones? Tap, tap like raindrops from a velvet sky. He passes the bakery, where the ovens are cooling, and a scent of crusty loaves still clings to the air like a memory. He passes the mill, where the wheel turns slower now, echoing the breath of a tired town, and he stops by a cottage, where a candle flickers in the window. Inside, a child curls beside a cat, their chest rising and falling, slow and steady, the kitten purring, a soft, sandpapery sound. The child stirs and yawns, wide and dreamy. Acilio lifts his pouch, and with a tender sweep of his hand, he gathers the yawn, tucks it in beside all the others, and whispers, "Sleep safely, dream sweetly." It's a gentle magic, isn't it, to know there are still songs made of silence, still musicians who play the hush between breaths, still nights where someone watches not to wake you, but to carry you deeper into rest. Acilio walks on, past ivy-wrapped wells and mossy walls. The moonlight glints off rooftops, like the gleam of dragon scales in slumber. A wind picks up, barely more than a whisper, threading through reeds and tall grass. He pauses by a stone bridge, below which a stream murmurs its own lullaby. Not hurried, not rushed, just gentle. Here, he plucks his harp. One note, then another, soft and golden, like honey melting in the sun. The yawns inside his pouch shiver, glow, and slowly dissolve into the night sky. They drift up into dreams, into you. Your breath is steady now, your body warm, held. The hush of the bard's music lingers, like the last notes of a lullaby, too soft to remember, and too lovely to forget. Sleep is near. The stars above have shifted, just a little. They do that while we sleep, quietly turning, like the pages of an old, beloved book. And far below, Acilio still walks through the cool hush of the world, through moss-stripped villages where chimneys sigh and window panes glow dimly with emberlight. He crosses into a new hamlet now, one so small it doesn't have a name, just a crooked signpost at the edge of the wood, and a handful of cottages nestled like storybook corners, each one exhaling warmth and slumber. He lifts the hood of his cloak, though there is no rain. It's just something he does before collecting a particularly delicate yawn. Some yawns are young and fluttery, like butterflies. Others are old, slow, and deep, like the creak of a rocking chair. Tonight, he senses both. He stops before a house with vines climbing its stone walls, where an old man rocks by the hearth, half asleep, his eyes glinting with the orange flicker of flame. The man yawns, and it is long and low, like the deep toll of a church bell. Acilio collects it gently, almost reverently. It's the kind of yawn that has history in it, the kind that smells faintly of pipe smoke and apple wood and forgotten lullabies. He tucks it into his pouch and whispers, "Sleep safely, dream sweetly." Then, across the road, a window creaks open, a little, and the mewl of a sleepless babe reaches his ears. No tears, just that tiny, searching sound of a child trying to find the space between waking and dream. He draws a small flute from the folds of his robe, crafted from bone, gifted to him long ago by a monk who had taken a vow never to speak, but who could still play lullabies that made birds fall from the sky and sleep. He plays soft notes, barely more than breath, just enough to reach the edge of the crib, just enough to coax a little pink yawn from the baby's lips. Acilio smiles. That one is lighter than air. It floats right into his pouch like a feather. Another lullaby is complete. The bard knows something that most have forgotten. That yawns carry the residue of dreams, each one a little echo of the world we're drifting toward. When we close our eyes, he hums now, not words, but tones. Notes that match the rhythm of a resting heartbeat. You might even hear them if you let your breathing fall into step with his tune. In and out, in and out. Each breath a soft footstep on a mossy path. He walks deeper now, through a grove of birch trees. They shimmer silver in the moonlight. Their trunks are pale, like ghosts. Their leaves flutter, whispering secrets only the wind and the bard can understand. Here in this grove is where he sometimes sleeps. He carries no bedroll, no blanket, just his music, just the yawns. They keep him warm. Tonight, though, he does not rest. He follows the path to a crumbling abbey, where nuns once sang matins by candlelight. Now, it stands quiet, but not abandoned. The doves still roost in the bell tower. The wind still plays its way through stained glass windows, now broken into kaleidoscopic fragments. And in the courtyard, a girl sleeps under the stars, her head pillowed on a bundle of herbs. She is a healer's apprentice, tired from grinding valerian root and steeping elderflower tea. Her sleep is fit. Acilio kneels beside her. He opens his pouch, just a little, and lets a few yawns drift upward, like fireflies. They settle around her head like a crown. She sighs, and her breath steadies. Her fingers unclench, deep in her dreams. He watches for a moment, then rises, silent as a shadow. Not far now. He can feel the pouch growing full, warm, and faintly glowing against his chest. Each yawn carries a story. Some are dreams of old forests, or glowing dragons curled around treasure hoards. Some are memories of lost lullabies, sung by grandmothers who no longer wake, of clean sheets hung to dry. And some are simple. The dreams of bread baking, of soft grass under bare feet. Acilio does not judge. Every yawn is sacred, every one. A note in his music. He finds a hill one he's climbed many times, with a single pine tree at the top that leans ever so slightly east, as if bowing to the dawn. From here, he can see the village lights, flickering like sleepy eyes in the valley below. He settles under the tree, removes his harp from its case, and begins to play. The music isn't meant to be heard with ears. It's meant to be felt in the chest, like a memory you forgot you loved. As he plays, he opens the pouch, and one by one, the yawns rise. They shimmer as they leave, some glowing softly like candlelight, others rippling like wind on a pond. They drift out, into the night, into the dreams of those who sleep below, and perhaps into you. Right now, here, you might even feel a yawn of your own, rising in your throat, sweet and slow and stretching like a cat in a sunbeam. That's okay. It means you're drifting closer. Let it come. Let it carry you, just like Acilio carries them all. You are safe. You are held. The bard is playing, and sleep is near. The hill is quiet now, and Acilio sits beneath the leaning pine, his harp in his lap, his fingers light upon the strings, like dew resting on the petal of a violet flower. The last yawn from his pouch has taken flight, twirling into the stars like a single spark from a candle's flame. He watches it go, until it disappears beyond the treetops, and the air grows still again. But the stillness is never empty. No, it hums, softly, with peace, with presence, with a sleepy weight of the world resting just on the edge of dreaming. Acilio closes the pouch, now empty. But not all things that appear empty truly are. He knows this. For within that velvet stillness, each yawn leaves behind a memory, a resonance, a trace of its journey. He tucks it gently into his robe and leans back against the pine tree's sturdy trunk. The bark is warm, rough beneath his fingers, but friendly, like the hand of an old friend. The wind, passing through the high branches, makes a sound like breath, slow and deep and kind. All around him, the land sleeps, and somewhere far below, a church bellowed, and iron chimes 3 times. 3 soft notes, each one slower than the last, each one farther away. It's the hour of hush, the time of full slumber, when even the owls doze off on their perches, and dreams grow heavier, like fog thickening on the moor. And yet, Acilio does not yet sleep. Not tonight. There is one more journey he must make. One he makes only once in a blue moon. And tonight, above the pine tree, the moon is indeed blue. Not in color, but in name. A rare moon. A second full one in a single month. An old belief tucked into the folds of time says that on such nights, the barrier between waking and dreaming is thinner. Soft as silk, porous. Acilio must go there. To the place between, to the hollow hill. He rises now, with slow grace, like a man who's lived in stories more than in time. He slings the harp over his back, draws his cloak tight, and begins the quiet descent. The path to the hollow hill isn't marked by signs or stones. It appears only to those who walk without purpose, but with presence. And so he walks through the dewy fields, where mushrooms bloom like tiny umbrellas, their caps catching starlight in shallow pools, past the blackthorn hedge, where wild hares sleep in tangled nests, past the fallen log where fox kits once yawned, wide and sweet, nestled against one another like warm rolls in a basket. And there, just past a weeping willow, the hill rises. It is round and grassy and low, and if you passed it in daylight, you might never give it a second glance. But under a blue moon, if you walk slowly and breathe gently, you'll see it. A small door carved into the hillside itself, worn by rain, kissed by moss, and just slightly ajar. Icilio steps inside. The air changes. It thickens, not heavy, but velvety, like being wrapped in 100 soft shawls all at once. Inside, the hollow hill is vast, larger than it should be. Ceilings arched like cathedral vaults, lit not by torches, but by soft orbs of dreamlight floating in slow spirals. And in the center, a great basin, wide as a lake, but shallow and glowing from within, is the dream pool, where all collected yawns, once released, gathered to become something greater. A song, a tide, a current of dream stuff that weaves through the minds of sleepers the world over. Icilio approaches, and though his pouch is empty, he kneels and bows. He hums softly, not for the hill, but for the dreams. And the pool listens. It begins to ripple, with memories, with faces, with sighs, caught just before sleep, a mother holding her child, a shepherd dreaming beneath stars, a baker kneading dough in his dreams, only to find it rise into cloud. Each ripple tells a story, and each story is slow.com, made of yawn light and harp song. The hollow hill begins to sing back. No words, just tones, like the softest choir imaginable, as if every pillow, every curtain, every sleeping cat was singing at once. And as the music rises, Icilio smiles. This is why he walks, why he listens, why he gathers yawns in velvet silence, so this song can continue, so dreams may bloom, so sleepers like you may rest fully, deeply, peacefully. You, dear listener, you are part of that music now. You have given a yawn, perhaps without knowing, and now it's in the pool, rippling outward, joining the quiet tide, soothing another somewhere far away. Perhaps they're dreaming of you, or perhaps you are dreaming of them. Either way, you are wrapped in a lullaby now, and is already walking again, out through the door, back under the stars. Icilio steps out of the hollow hill, and the door behind him vanishes, folding into the grassy earth, as if it never was. But he doesn't turn to look. He never does. That's the rule of the hollow hill. To enter, you must carry peace, and to leave, you must trust that what you gave remains. So he walks back into the cool breath of the forest, his cloak whispering over damp leaves and hidden roots. Above him, the moon has dipped a little lower, and the stars blink slowly, like they, too, are nodding off. It's almost morning. The world still sleeps, but not for long. So this is his quietest time. The final chapter of his nightly wandering. He makes his way toward a meadow, one he knows by heart. In spring, it blooms with violets and dandelions. In summer, it hums with bees. But now, under this midsummer moon, the grass is heavy with dew, and the air carries a hush so deep, even the crickets hold their breath. He walks to the center and stops. Here, in the very heart of the meadow, he takes a small object from within his robe. It's a little bell, unpolished, cracked in one place, but beautiful, in a quiet, worn kind of way. You see, in an old abbey long ago, Icilio once heard a bell so sweet, it was said to lull birds from the sky mid-flight. But over years and weather, it broke, and no one rang it again, except him. Now, here, he holds it in both hands, bows his head, and lets it ring. Just once. The sound is delicate, like the shimmer of starlight passing through a prism. It doesn't echo, it settles, gently, as though the world pauses to listen. And something stirs. In the meadow, tiny motes of light begin to rise from the grass. Soft, floating lights. Not fireflies, but remnants. Tiny pieces of uncollected yawns. Left behind. Too small to catch. Too soft to be held. But now they gather, drawn to the sound. Drifting upward into Acilio's open palms. He smiles, and with a slow exhale, he blows across them. They scatter into the sky, back to their dreamers, back to you. Now, Acilio kneels, lays his harp down beside him, and curls beneath his cloak in the meadow grass. He never sleeps before this moment, not until the yawns are released, not until the songs are sung. But now, his eyes close, and like the rest of the world, he dreams. You, too, may dream now, for his work is complete, and yours is only to rest. You might imagine the meadow, feel the earth cradling your spine, hear the hum of silence beneath the breeze. Or you might imagine the hollow hill, its gentle glow, its rippling dreams, calling softly from somewhere just past sleep. Let your breath guide you there. In and out, in and out. Each breath a step, each yawn a gift, each moment soft. The world turns, but you do not need to follow. Not now, not yet. Stay in this quiet place a while longer, where stories drift like clouds, and music is made from silence. Tomorrow will come as it always does, but the bard will walk again, and the yawns will be caught, and the dreams will bloom, and you will be part of it all. Always. The meadow darkens just a touch more, not with night, but with the velvety blue that comes before the dawn. The air holds its breath, a kind of suspended stillness, as though the world itself isn't ready to wake yet. And beneath the tall meadow grass, Acilio sleeps. His fingers are gently curled around the edge of his harp, his face turned toward the sky, and in his dreams he's walking again. But this time, the paths are made of clouds. Each step sends little puffs of silver dust into the air, and above him, yawns drift like petals, soft, spiraling downward, ready to be caught all over again. In the dream, time is thicker. It flows like honey, slow and golden. The stars don't shine, they hum, and the moon watches like an old friend, smiling. There's no place to be, no goal to chase, only the rhythm of footfalls, and the occasional flutter of something soft and unseen, like a sigh that's been set free. In this quiet place, where dream and memory gently blend, Acilio often meets those who came before. The old bards. You might not see them, but you might feel them. A warm breeze where there is no wind, a second shadow, when only one should fall. They come not to speak, but to walk with him, just for a while. Tonight, a figure joins him, a woman cloaked in ivy and dusk. Her harp is made of blackthorn, and the lullabies she once sang are still carried on the breath of sleeping wolves in distant mountains. They do not talk, but they walk in step. The quiet between them says more than words ever could. And above, the yawns still fall. Not hurried, not many, just a few. Each one precious. Back in the waking meadow, the sky softens at the edge. A single line of rose gold appears on the horizon, and a lark just one tries a note. Not loud, not sure, just a whisper of morning. Acilio stirs. His eyes open slowly, like dawn itself, and for a moment he forgets which world he's in. Then, the weight of the harp across his chest, the dew on his boots, the hush in the air. They remind him he is home, still wrapped in sleep's gentle shawl, still inside the story, the dream and the dreamer together. He doesn't rise right away. There's no need. Instead, he closes his eyes again, just for a breath longer, and perhaps If you listen carefully, you might feel that pause, the space between dreams and daylight, where silence is thick enough to hold. You're there too. You know, not fully waking, not fully gone. Just floating, just resting in the warm, golden stillness of the bard's quiet world. And so we stay, just a little longer. No need to move, no need to rise. There is time for that, but not yet. Now is for sighs, and softness, and sleep, always sleep. The first golden light of dawn stretches across the sky, but it doesn't disturb us, it simply brushes him, like fingers tracing the folds of his cloak, gently urging wakefulness, but not insisting. He opens his eyes again, this time fully, and smiles. For him, mornings are not the end of dreams. They are a continuation, another verse in a song that began long ago, another breath in the sleeping world's slow lullaby. He sits up, cross-legged, harp still resting across his knees, and before standing, he does something small but sacred. He reaches into a hidden pocket inside his robe and takes out a piece of parchment, old, frayed at the edges, softened by years of folding and unfolding. Soon, the baker will rise, the child will stretch, the old man will light a new fire, and no one will remember why they slept so soundly, why they dreamed so vividly, why they feel lighter. But Acilio knows, and that is enough. As he approaches the edge of town, he pulls up his hood, not to hide, but to blur, to become one with the morning mist that curls around doorways and rooftops, to be another hush in the hush of early light. He passes unnoticed, but he notices everything. The candle in the healer's window is still glowing, faint and flickering, almost ready to fade. He pauses a moment, just to listen. Inside, the apprentice stirs in her sleep, and sighs, and that sigh carries the weight of deep healing, of rest heart, of dreams tended like herbs in the garden of night. Acilio bows, a small, reverent motion. Then he walks on. His night is over, but the hush he leaves behind remains. In you, in the world, in every pillow still warm, and every yawn still waiting to bloom. Your breath is slower now, your limbs softer. The story has circled you like a blanket, and you are still wrapped in it. Gently, easily. There is no hurry to wake, no pressure to rise, just warmth, stillness, and the song of silence, drifting softly on. The village awakens slowly. A window creaks, a candle is lit. Boots are slid onto weary feet, but for a little while longer. The world still speaks in whispers. Acilio makes his way to the back edge of town, where the cobbled street softens into earth again, and brambles stretch lazily over a stone wall. There is a little bench here, barely a bench at all. Just two flat stones, resting in the shade of an ash tree. But it is enough. He sits from this spot. He can see it all. Chimneys exhaling the first curls of morning smoke. Laundry lines swaying, empty and still. A rooster lifting its chest with sleepy importance. He watches, not like a guard, but like a painter studying light, as if memorizing every motion, so he can dream it again tonight. From his pocket, Acilio removes a small charm. A round piece of bronze, smooth at the edges, with a hole in the middle, and a faded carving of a feather. It is older than he is. Older than many things. In the time of medieval monks, such tokens were called soul coins. Little keepsakes believed to collect peaceful moments, to hold serenity. Like a bowl holds water, he turns it between his fingers now, slowly. One turn for each breath, one breath for each face he saw the night before. He never forgets. Even the smallest sigh becomes a note in his memory's quiet melody. Behind him, a door opens. Wood against wood. A soft clatter of boots. It's the baker. She doesn't see him. He's too still, too quiet. And that's just as he prefers it. But he smells the dough. She's already working between her hands. Yeast and flour. Warmth and patience. It is said that medieval bakers would sing to their loaf, not songs with words, but humming, a vibration, to coax the bread into rising with gentleness. Acilio hums now, just a little, a note to bless her efforts, even if she'll never hear it. He rises again, gathers his harp, his pouch, still empty, and his soul corn, now just a little warmer. The path he follows now curls uphill toward the outer fields, where sheep are still nestled together in dew-damp wool, and the crows haven't yet begun their noisy meetings. Here's where he pauses, at the wooden stile, where one must lift a leg, step carefully, and pass between what's tamed and what is wild. The field is open, gold, wind-swept, and at the far edge of it, the woods rise again. A darker green, a deeper quiet. Acilio knows him well, knows which root snags, boots, which path leads to the stream, and which tree, old and hollowed by time, still holds the scent of beeswax and sleep. But before he enters, he turns, looks back once, not for long, just enough. The village is full now, not loud, but alive. Children gather water. The old man sweeps his doorstep. The healer's apprentice clips lavender from her window box. All of them still carry the hushy Acilio left behind. They don't know it, but they hold it like breath, like memory. And he smiles, for that is all the thanks he ever needs. He slips into the woods again. The green world folds around him, cool, shadowed, fragrant. A squirrel chitters, a bee hums past, and the leaves, the leaves, they speak without sound. They move like lullabies, soft, rustling layers of peace. Here, in the dappled stillness, Acilio will rest, not sleep. He did that in the meadow, but something deeper. He calls it settling, a kind of quieting that only comes when you've given the night all that it asked for. He finds his tree, the one with the roots that rise like elbows, and the hollow beneath, shaped just enough like a cradle. He removes his harp, tucks his pouch beneath his head, and lies down again, the way a book lies closed, its story still breathing between the pages, and the woods hold him, not as their own, but as someone they remember. The leaves hush their rustling. The light dims, just slightly, and a single petal blown from some unseen bloom drifts down to rest upon his chest. He is still, and you are to breathe. That's all. Just breathe. In and out. In and out. Let the hush deepen. Let it settle over your mind like first snow on a quiet field. Acilio rests beneath the old tree. The birds above him flutter, but do not sing. Not yet. They sense the hush, and they honor it. This moment, this in-between, is sacred. The hush after the night, and before the day truly arrives. In medieval times, they called this Our Lauds, the earliest monastic prayer, before bread, before tasks, before even words. There was stillness, and he knows it well. He doesn't speak, even to himself. Instead, he watches a spider string a silver thread between two low twigs, its body moving slowly, methodically, spinning in circles, as if weaving sleep into shape. High above, the wind stirs the canopy. It doesn't break the silence. It joins it. A sigh made of leaves, a lullaby made of air, and Acilio closes his eyes again. He doesn't sleep, but he doesn't wake either. He drifts, just like you, between memory and moment, between breath and story, between the last yawn and the next. In this half-dream, he sees the faces of those he's met. The candle-maker's little girl, with her braid undone and her thumb still tucked in sleep. The miller's son, who always yawns at the same hour, just as the owl flies over the west barn. The scribe in the far village, who never speaks, but dreams in bright, wild colors that curl like ink on ancient parchment. And he remembers the weight of your yawn, the shape of your sigh, the color of your quiet. It, too, became part of the lullaby. Far off, a bell tolls, not a loud bell, just one carried on wind, its voice faded by distance. It marks the true start of morning, the moment when even the hush must yield to warmth, to movement, to light. But Acilio does not move right away. He waits. He knows there is always one last yawn. Always one, somewhere. Someone has just now paused, book in hand, quilt pulled to chin, mind drifting. And there it is. A soft intake, a slow exhale, that gentle flutter at the back of the throat, a yawn. Acilio opens his pouch, still warm from his chest, lifts it with two hands, and though the yawn is miles away, he feels it like a heartbeat, and gently, it slips into the velvet, light as breath, soft as featherfall. The final note, the echo of the night. He nods, ties the pouch closed with a thread of silk, worn smooth from years of tying and untying. Then he rises. No hurry, no sound. The tree behind him creaks, just once, as if bidding him farewell, and the forest opens again, welcoming him back to the world that now hums softly with waking. He walks toward the glade where his path begins. It is always a circle, this journey of his. He'll return to the cottage on the edge of the field. He'll press dried leaves into parchment. He'll sip from his favorite mug chipped with the faded image of a starling on one side. And he'll wait for night, for stillness, for the yawn that begins it all again. But before he leaves the forest, he reaches into his satchel and pulls out the parchment again, unfolds it, just to read, to remember each name, each melody, each breath. He runs his thumb along the bottom edge, and there, tucked in the margin, is the newest line. It's yours. Not written in ink, not with letters, but with space, with stillness. Acilio smiles, and in the glade, the light shifts, becomes honeyed, golden, kind. And the hush, it doesn't end. It simply settles into the roots, into the branches, into the slow, waiting world. So now, dear dreamer, you may rest again. You've followed the bard from dusk to dawn, and dawn has whispered its blessing. You are part of the lullaby now. You are the hush between notes, the breath before the next word, the warmth after the final chord. You are safe, you are still, and you may sleep deeply, gently, sweetly. Acilio walks softly, his feet, remembering every root, every stone, every secret curve in the path that leads him out of the forest and back to his little cottage. It sits just beyond the trees, half hidden in heather and creeping thyme, its roof mossy and round, its windows clouded with age and sun. But it is more than a home. It is a keeper of hush, a library of silence, a place where sleep lingers in the rafters, and dreams are folded like linens on old wooden shelves. As he pushes open the door, it creaks, then settles shut behind him with a soft clunk, like the closing of a book you plan to open again soon. Inside, there is cool, dim, still kissed by the shadows of night. His harp rests against the wall. A small fire sleeps in the hearth, embers blinking like slow eyes. And over his table, there hang the parchments. Hundreds of them. Some pinned, some pressed under glass, some curled from time. Their ink faded, but never forgotten. They're not maps, not exactly. They're melodies built from sighs, compositions, whispered by yawns, and hummed into sleep. Acilio steps into the quiet and hangs up his pouch. Today, it glows just faintly, soft silver, from the last yawn he caught before leaving the forest. It will settle soon. Its glow will dim, but the dream it carries will live on, in song, in story, in someone's resting breath tonight. He lights a candle, not bright, just enough to see the dust swirl in the golden light. In medieval homes, Candles were precious, often made of tallow, smoky and heavy-scented. They were used carefully, ritually. Asilios, though, is beeswax, warm, honey-sweet, and it flickers as if it knows it's been trusted with dreams. He settles in his chair. It creaks just slightly, a familiar sound, a friendly one, and in the stillness, he begins his other work, writing, not music, this time, not names, but memories. You see, he writes letters, not to people, but to dreams, to the hush itself, to the velvet dark that wraps around sleeping minds, to the first breath a child takes after slipping into sleep. They are gentle letters, like this one. Dear moment, just before sleep, thank you for pausing tonight, for softening the edges of thought, for pulling the quilt of silence just a little higher, for holding the space open just wide enough for a dream to slip in. Asilio writes slowly, his pen smooth, his ink made from elderberries and midnight water. He signs his name just as first, then folds the letter into fourths and places it into a wooden box carved with moons. The box is full of such letters, and sometimes, when a night feels heavy, he'll read one aloud to the stars, to remind them what their glow is for. The fire sighs in the hearth. The candle flickers, and the world turns just a little more. Outside, a breeze rustles the thyme. A sheep stirs and settles again. A bird lifts its head, then tucks it back beneath its wing. And Asilio, he closes his eyes, not to sleep again, but just to feel the hush around him, to let it fill the hollow places inside, the way silence fills a chapel long after the choir is gone. You are still with him, you know? Drifting in the quiet, you are that hush, that candle, that folded letter waiting to be read. You're not out of the dream. You are within it still, cradled by quiet, lulled by slow rhythm. So let your breath slow again, in and out, like Asilios, like a story being gently closed for the night. The next chapter will come, but not yet. First, rest, long and soft, still and safe, always. Later in the day, when the sun begins to soften, not dim, but mellow, like music played on the edge of a distant room, Asilio prepares for the evening. It's not something he rushes. There are no alarms, no lists, just a scent that the hush is beginning to rise again. It always does. It comes up from the roots and down from the clouds, settling in folds across the land like early fog. That's when he knows. Soon, the yawns will bloom again. He opens a small chest by the window. Inside, his gathering tools wait, each wrapped in fabric so soft it could have been woven from silence itself. One is his velvet pouch of the night before, but still warm with memory. The other is something far older, a little vial, blown from moonglass, a tiny stopper carved from the tooth of a river otter, a creature long gone, whose dreams were said to bring safe passage in sleep. This vial isn't for yawns, it's for fragments, the faintest pieces. A breath half held, a twitch of a smile, a flicker of a dream before it's fully formed. Asilio doesn't gather them always, but tonight feels delicate, and so he slips it gently into his satchel. He hums as he moves. Not a song, not quite, just a vibration, like bees or warm wind across an old bell. It helps everything find its place. Even the harp seems to sigh as he lifts it from its resting nook. Its strings, made of horsehair and starlight, respond to his fingertips with a whisper chord. Not loud enough to play, but loud enough to feel. He checks the tuning with a breath, not a pluck. It's perfect. Outside, the light is gold bronze now, slipping sideways through trees, painting long, soft shadows across the stones. Asilio steps out onto the path again, and the hush walks with him. The kind of hush that fills a cloister at twilight, the kind found in chapels long after prayers, the kind that speaks, not in words, but in pauses. As he passes the old fence, a rabbit lifts its head. It doesn't flee, just watches. then returns to nibbling in the long grass. The world knows him. Not his name, but his rhythm, the soft cadence of his steps, the weightlessness of his presence. Even the trees bend slightly, just enough to brush his shoulders with leaves. Isilio doesn't head to the village just yet. Not tonight. Instead, he follows a lesser path, one worn by deer, barely wide enough for boots, winding through fields speckled with purple clover and yellow. The flowers lean into the dusk. They know it's almost time. There's a cottage he hasn't visited in many moons. At the far edge of the old hills, just one candle burns in its single window, a faint pulse of light. He remembers the woman who lives there, her eyes clouded with age, but her dreams, oh, clear as the winter sky over frozen lakes. She once told Isilio that when she dreams, she returns to her childhood orchard, where apples glowed like lanterns and bees spoke in rhymes. He hasn't seen her in weeks. Tonight feels like the night to return. The walk is long, but the land is soft underfoot, and the air carries the hush like a lullaby played on red pipes in the folds of the hills. By the time Isilio reaches her gate, twilight has folded itself over the world. The sky is a wash of lavender and ink. The stars not yet visible, but awake. The door is slightly ajar, as if the house, too, is expecting him. He doesn't knock. He waits, and from within, a voice soft and slow drifts out. You brought the hush with you, didn't you? He smiles. Yes, he says gently. I did. Inside, the hearth is lit. The room smells of lavender and old bread. She's already settled in her chair, blanket up to her chest, a small smile resting on her lips like a feather on still water. Isilio doesn't say much. He never needs to. He pulls up the stool by the fire, tunes his harp with a breath, and begins to play. No melody. Not at first. Just a slow pluck of strings that echo the pulse of twilight. A low chord. A pause. Another. The air between the notes matters just as much. Sometimes more. Her breathing slows. Her eyes begin to drift, and with each rise and fall of her chest, a thread of hush escapes. Invisible, but unmistakable. He doesn't need the pouch yet. Not until the yawn comes. But he's ready. Always ready. You're still with him. With her. With her. With the hush. You're not outside this dream. You are inside it. Floating. And the edges of your own thoughts are starting to soften again, like parchment dampened at the corners, ready to be folded into sleep. Isilio's fingers drift across the harp, each note leaving behind a shimmer in the firelight. Not sparks, but echoes, curled like tendrils of smoke. The old woman's breath slows. One hand, once busy with thread or herbs, now rests softly over her chest. And then, a pause, a flutter. That tiny, universal moment, her jaw loosens, her mouth opens, and a gentle, unguarded yawn escapes into the air. Isilio doesn't rush. He lets it drift. Yawns aren't captured. They're invited, welcomed. When the moment is right, he opens the velvet pouch with his free hand, its size open, as though it, too, has been waiting. And neon silver and faint as mist glides softly inside. The pouch glows for just a second, warm and small, then settles again. He keeps playing, but softer now. Notes spaced even wider apart. A lullaby unwinding itself. A melody fading like footprints in snow. The woman's eyelids are still. Her lips curve faintly, as if she's already inside a dream she remembers well. Isilio hums. Just once. A final note. Then the hush returns in full. Thick, loving, deep. The kind of quiet that wraps every thought, every corner of the soul, in warmth and safety. He bows his head. Not to her, but to the moment. To the silence that now fills the room. To the breath that no longer needs to chase itself forward. He stands, gently, adjusts the blanket over her shoulders, tucks one of her hands beneath it, and places a fresh sprig of dried chamomile on the table beside her. A small gesture, but gestures are everything in the world of the hush. Outside, the stars have finally arrived, not all at once, but one by one, each claiming its place in the vast, velvet sky. Ecilio steps onto the worn porch, the wooden planks cool beneath his boots. He breathes in deep. The night is here. The hush is rising again, like tide, like fog, like song. He walks slowly now, harp across his back, the pouch swaying lightly at his hip, each step stirring memories in the tall grass. The field glows under moonlight, every blade silvered, every shadow long and soft. A barn owl glides overhead, silent, certain, its wings slicing moonbeams like parchment. Ecilio watches it, his heart slowing to the rhythm of its flight. He remembers. In some medieval abbeys, owls were believed to carry whispers to the dream realm. Not messages, but sighs. Those unspoken aches that only sleep could soothe. He hums again. Low. A single note. To honor the owl's journey. And the owl dips its wing. Once. Then disappears behind the trees. There's no village tonight. No hearths to visit. No more yawns to gather. Tonight, he walks with the hush. That's all. He'll follow the stream past the hill where the sleeping stones lie. The old druid circle, worn and bowed from time. He'll stop there. He always does. Not to speak, but to listen. For the hush has its own voice, and Ecilio knows how to hear it. And you're part of this walk now. Your breath is the wind in the heather. Your pulse is the rhythm of the harp's quietest string. You are not dreaming alone. You are inside the story, inside the hush, and Ecilio carries your yawn with care, folded gently among 100 others, stitched into the next lullaby that may one day reach you again, perhaps when you need it most. Now, lie back, close your eyes, if you haven't already. There's nothing more to do. Just let your thoughts dissolve like mist at dawn. Let your body sink like roots into the soft soil of night. The bard will keep walking. The hush will keep humming. And you may sleep completely, sweetly, safely. Ecilio walks along the moonlit stream, its waters whispering over smooth stones. Not rushing, not chattering, but murmuring, as if sharing secrets only heard by those willing to walk slowly enough. The stars above him blink between drifting clouds, and the earth underfoot smells of moss and old stories. The hush is deep here, ancient. It doesn't just float in the air. It grows from the roots, from the cold stone bones of the earth itself. Up ahead, the standing stones begin to rise from the mist, each one silent, stoic, and still. They've been here since before ink, before walls, before songs had names. Some say the druids placed them, others say the stars did. Ecilio doesn't need to know. He only knows they hum, not with sound, but with memory, with knowing. And when he steps into the circle, the air changes, thicker, cooler, full of hush. He sets down his harp gently in the grass, then his pouch, then the tiny moon glass vial. He kneels beside the central stone, one shaped like a crescent, tilted just enough to catch the starlight across its face. And he listens. No words, not even thoughts, just the rhythm of earth, the pulse of stillness, the weight of sleep gathering around him. He draws a breath, lets it out, long and low, then removes the vial from his satchel. It catches the moonlight and scatters it into soft fragments, little sparkles in the mist. This is where he uncorks it, very slowly, and from within, the faintest traces of unsung dreams begin to drift out. They swirl, not like smoke, but like lace in water, dream fragments. Not quite stories, not yet. There's one shaped like a bell, one like a feather, one like a single shoe left behind in a castle corridor. where a dance had just ended. Acilio doesn't touch them. He never does. He watches. He remembers. Then he reaches for his harp. One note. Soft. A chord like breath drawn under a blanket. Another. Two together. A harmony. Not heard with the ears, but felt through the ribs. He plays for the fragments, for the hush, for the stars, and for you. Always for you. Because you are part of the hush now. You are the listener, and the dreamer, and the yawn from hours ago that still glows gently inside the velvet pouch. You are part of the lullaby that Acilio weaves into the night, and your sigh, the one you just let out. Yes, that one. It becomes a note in his song. The dream fragments begin to slow, settle. They lower themselves onto the moss between the stones and curl, like kittens around a hearth. Soon, someone will dream them again. A child in a distant tower, an elder by a flickering lantern, a soul who hasn't laughed in many days. The fragments will find their way. Acilio plays one last chord. It hangs in the air like frost on a window pane, delicate, beautiful, silent, then fades. He corks the vial, places it back in its linen wrap, tucks it away with great care. Then he sits back against a crescent stone, eyes closed, not asleep, but not entirely awake, just resting, just part of the hush. A breeze moves through the stones. It carries a scent of rosemary and ash, of sleep, of safe endings. In the distance, an owl calls again. Just once, and the stars blink, their lights softer than ever. Let your breath match the wind now, slow, unfolding. You're here, in the stone circle, not watching, but being. You don't need to do anything more tonight, not a single thing. The bard is still gathering, still weaving, still remembering. And you are part of it all. Wrapped in hush, cradled by quiet, safe beneath the sky, where even the stars have learned how to whisper. The stones hold the hush, long after the fragments settle, and Acilio falls still beneath the moon. The circle remains a cradle of stillness. No one speaks here. Not the wind, not the stars, not even the old oak that leans across the northern edge of the glade. Its branches sway, but they do not rustle. They remember. Acilio stays seated for a long while. No thoughts pulling him, no plans waiting. Just the soft, velvety space between things. Between song and silence. Between dusk and midnight. Between gathering and giving. He rests there, and as he rests, a yawn not, his own drifts across the glade. It doesn't come from the cottage, not from any sleep-in village. This one is older, wider. The kind of yawn that stretches across miles and centuries. The earth yawns. The roots yawn. The stars seem to blink slower, as if even they are growing drowsy. Acilio opens his pouch. Not quickly, just respectfully. And the yawn, that vast, ancient hush, settles inside like mist curling into a low valley. It glows stronger than most. A pale violet light, the color of twilight between seasons. A forget of endings that feel like beginnings. Soft, low, certain. And the hush hums back. Let your breath match it again. In and out. Like a tide that asks for nothing. Like the air just before the stars wink out, one by one. No need to wake. No need to think. Just let it carry you. The path continues. But for now, you rest. You have given your yawn. You have walked the hush. And you are held. Acilio watches the valley below. And every breath he takes feels like a blessing returned. The hush has covered the land like dew over grass. Soft. Silver. Complete. He lingers at the crest of the hill, feeling the earth pulse faintly beneath his feet. A steady rhythm, like a mother's heartbeat in a child's memory. Like the sound you hear only when everything else is silent. The stars begin to fade. Just slightly. Not gone, but resting. And Acilio feels it. The last turning of the night. The quiet inhale before the sky begins to hint at dawn. He turns toward home. And now he walks slower, not from weariness, but reverence for this moment. When the hush reaches its deepest point, when dreams nestle in their softest cradle, this moment deserves slow feet and quiet steps. The harp remains slung across his back, strings cooled, no longer singing, but not silent either, just resting. The pouch, too, is quiet, the light within it no longer pulsing, but glowing gently, the way embers do when the fire is no longer watched, but still remembered. His path winds past the old well, where moss creeps up the stone, and the wind always seems to spiral in a circle, even on the calmest nights. They say a monk once dropped a feather into that well, after a long silence, and heard it sing before it reached the water. Isilio doesn't know if it's true, but he always nods when he passes, just in case the hush remembers him. There are stones now underfoot, cobbled and smooth, the beginning of the lane that leads to his little cottage. Each one remembers a story, a season, a pair of boots, a night when the hush was needed, and Isilio walked. Just as he walks now, his door is just ahead, round and weathered and familiar, painted a soft, peeling blue, and in the window, just one candle, still burning, still waiting. He ties the pouch again with its silk thread, worn smooth, still strong, and he smiles. Not every yawn is small. Some belong to the world itself, and when the world yawns, it invites us to pause, to rest, to remember how it feels, to simply be. The harp beside him hums once, a single string stirred by breeze, as if it, too, sighs in understanding. Isilio stands, not hurried, not slow, just complete. He brushes a hand along the central stone, offering thanks in the language of stillness, and turns back toward the path. The way home glows now, not with firelight, but with hush, that special silver warmth that only appears when stories are nearly done and dreams are beginning to bloom. The trees along the trail bow gently, each offering a shadowy arch for him to walk through. He bows back, as he always does, respect between old souls, the bard, and the woods that have carried 1,000 lullabies. Somewhere in the distance, a farmhouse window closes, a cat curls on a windowsill, a kettle cools beside a forgotten cup. The world is tucking itself in, and you, dear listener, so are you. You are not alone on the path. You walk it now in the hush of your own mind. You feel the grass beneath your feet, the cool night air on your cheeks, the scent of firewood and moss and distant bread ovens cooling. You walk beside us, and he carries your yawn like a treasure, because it is. It always has been. Your yawn is a lullaby, a permission slip to rest, a soft ribbon tying your thoughts together, just long enough to let them go. It's part of the hush now, part of this, part of you. As Isilio reaches the low rise above the stream, he stops, takes in the valley spread before him, all quiet, all dim and beautiful, not empty, just sleeping. The hush is whole now, carried through music, through breath, through every tender silence left behind. He hums one note, not for him, but for the hush he carries. The candle is not a light, it's a welcome, a whisper, a soft place to land. He lifts the latch and steps inside. The floor creaks the same way it always has. Not a protest, a greeting. The cottage sighs as he enters. Walls that have seen 1,000 silences settle again around him, and everything waits. Isilio sets down the harp, not on the floor, but on its special cradle. A curve of elderwood carved with tiny moons, soft as a lullaby held in hand. He hangs the pouch on its little hook, lets it sway once, then still. And the hush inside the room becomes whole. He lights the second candle, the one beside the writing table. Its flame flickers, but doesn't tremble. It knows this hour. It belongs to this hour. Isilio takes out his pen, not made from quill, but from hollow reed, sealed with wax, dipped in ink of lavender soot. He opens the drawer and pulls out a small slip of parchment. cream-colored edges, curled slightly, like sleep curling around thought, he writes. To the dream not yet dreamed, you are welcome here. You have always been welcome. Take your time. There is no hurry. We will wait, quietly, until you are ready. He signs it, not with his name, but with a symbol, a yawn, drawn like a spiral growing outward into stars. Then he folds the letter, tucks it into a wooden box, with others like it, a lullaby archive. Behind him, the fire pops once. It's low, but steady, a hush flame fed with wood soaked in rosemary and linden. Smoke curls upward, sweet and slow, and carries the last remnants of night into the rafters above. And then, finally, Acilio prepares to sleep. He doesn't change clothes. He simply removes his boots, loosens his belt, and climbs into the low, round bed set beneath a small skylight. The quilt is patchworked from old robes, traveling cloaks, and velvet sacks, once used for gathering yawns. It smells of sleep, of moonlight, of music no longer needed, but never forgotten. He pulls it up to his chest, closes his eyes, and the last sound he hears, before thought dissolves into dream, is not his harp, not the fire, not the breeze. It is the hush he's carried all night, now carrying him. And you're there too. You've walked the same path. You've breathed the same hush. Your own gentle sigh has become a thread in the great lullaby, and it sings now, not out loud, but inside you, inside your rest. Acilio sleeps. The hush around him is whole, a stillness so deep that even his dreams must tiptoe. The stars above his skylight are fading, but not from light, from peace, a kind of brightness that doesn't need the sun. Outside, the first birds have not yet begun. The owls have flown home. The wind has coiled itself around tree roots, napping, and across the village, across the valley, across all the candlelit places that once whispered their sighs, the yawns he collected begin to unfold. They don't burst, they bloom. Soft waves of sleep, energy slip into pillows and thatched roofs, tugging gently at blankets, settling deeper into chests, rising and falling with quiet breath. Children sigh, turn once, and sleep deeper. Farmers, long since stilled in their beds, dream of wheat fields without end. Villagers dream of songs with no words, fires with no smoke, paths that never tire their feet. And above it all, the pouch glows faintly, still, steady sure. It has done its work for the night. The yawns have been returned, not as noise, but as nourishment, not as echoes, but as lullabies. In the quiet room, with the hush coiled thick around every beam and brick, Acilio stirs once. Not awake, just closer to the veil. He smiles. Not because of a dream, but because of the hush, because it is enough. It always has been. And you, listener, dreamer, sleeper, you are part of it now, not just carried by the hush, but made of it. Each slow breath you take adds to it, deepens it, weaves you further into the tapestry of peace. There are no more footsteps to follow, no more words to speak. The harp rests, the viol rests, the pouch rests, the world rests, and you rest, completely, unquestioningly, beautifully. So now, let it all fade. Let the hush press into every space within you. Let the dreams rise without shape. Let the warmth beneath your body cradle you, as Acilio's quilt cradles him. No more names, no more paths, no more time. Just hush, only hush, forever hush. You are held, you are home, you are already asleep.